Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lotte Kort-Ihlemann. I'm joined by my colleague Maja Ryum. Today we will look at what's new in the Business Central release 2024 Wave 2. We are today broadcasting from the Microsoft Development Center in Denmark. This is also the home for the global Business Central product and engineering team. And today we are joined by Yannick Bausager and Dmitry Chedaev. They will take us through all the details and the highlights of the release. But first, let's look a little into what you can expect from Microsoft with this release. Maja, you have been busy last couple of weeks together with our subject matter experts. You've been in studio, you've been recording all the 40+ sessions that we have in this release. Tell us a little bit what's new in this release.
Yes, thank you, Lotte. So we have done something a little bit different this time. We've been working hard in studio, as always, producing 40 videos and sessions for you guys. But we listened to the community and found out that you would like a little bit more shorter, bite-sized videos, as well as the long, detailed ones. So we have accommodated this in this release. So we will both have the short, bite-sized one, which will both go with detail what is new within specifically this new release, but also guide you to previous launch events, videos on YouTube, so you can get the whole picture and all the information that you need. And we will also have a little bit of the longer videos with more details for what is completely new in this release. And all of these will be available this time on our YouTube front page after this opening session, so go and check them out.
Maja, that's amazing. We hope you will enjoy the new format as well. But let's take a sneak peek into the new release. Let's invite Yannick and Dmitry to get us started.
Thank you, Lotte and Maja, for having us today. So I'm Yannick Bausager.
And I'm Dmitry Chedaev.
And what we're going to do now is take you through a lot of the improvements we've done in this release. I will start by talking to what we've done in AI-powered business.
And I will, of course, cover everything there is to know about the world-class service.
Yes, but let me start and then I'll invite you back a little bit later, Dmitry.
Sure, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So, as you can see here, there are a lot of investments in this release, both enhancements but also innovations. What we've done now is, and what we will do is take you through most of them. There will still be a few of them because we can't fit everything in of all these great capabilities in the next period here. So, first of all, Copilot. Shouldn't be a surprise that we've done a lot of investments in Copilot in this release. And first of all, I think it's worth to mention that you can now start using Copilot without having to set up anything. That basically means it's default on. There is, of course, one place where you can go, the Copilot and AI capabilities page, and that's where you can administer what should be on and what should be on if you're an admin in the company here. So that you are in control of this. Now, what do we do to chat? Because chat is, of course, one of the first investments here we have in the product. And what we looked at is helping users being better at doing data inquiries. So if a user writes, for example, in this case, show me the top customers, what Copilot will do, it will actually link to the analysis view and open a Copilot generated analysis tab with that information. So the chat knows exactly, and awareness of what goes on in Business Central helps the user navigate. It's also aware of the current pages on. So whether it's a customer page or customer list in this case, or an item list, you could then ask, let's say it's a list, saying, show me all the blue items on this page. That is also possible now in the chat pane. It's become more knowledgeable, and how come that? That's because we now make sure that it reads and knows about the release plans. So of course, all the features we have in this release, users can then ask questions about it, but also reading through all the learned content, not only what is on docs, but also our training materials. That's now in Copilot in this release. And of course, what we know from users is they need some prompt examples to get started. So we added a lot more on these small view prompts icons that we have throughout the product. So go explore that with your customers and prospects. When we talk about Analysis Assist with Copilot, what we've also done here is make it possible to review, what you ask Copilot to build, but also adjust and then jump between, in this case, the different analysis tabs generated. And that helps you as a user really saying, no, this is what I want, and then say, keep it at that point. And you can add hidden fields that you don't necessarily see on the page. That's also possible to add through the Copilot chat here. It's one of the most used features. So if you haven't already got customers to adopt this, I think you should go, and if you are a customer, go explore this. And now to supported languages. One of course, the big request is, when is it coming in my language? Adding 20 languages with this release. It's now available in all these languages. So go again, explore in your own language, chat with Copilot, build the analysis views in your own language. That is also one of the key investments in this release. Copilot for Finance is a separate app from Microsoft. It's a team that really looks into what does a finance team really need, what kind of scenarios will really help them when we take then and apply Copilot to that. And that's where Copilot for Finance, for example, helps the collection team to respond to emails, but also summarize emails if somebody asked about what they owe to the company. You can then also handle disputes and dispute status, synchronize that back to Business Central, and also change, for example, if there's a new promise to pay date. So a tight integration with Business Central in this release. There is much more to come from that team. They are looking into also building a Teams experience and adding more capabilities. So go explore that both as the customers and partners out there. Then we have looked throughout Business Central in terms of where could we really help users be more productive. When you create a new item, you often want about substitutions. So in this case, you would go to the substitution screen here. The user would select substitutions and then just click on Generate with Copilot. Copilot will then go through Business Central and then suggest, in this case, a lot of other tiers. Just think about the amount of time saved by using Copilot in this scenario. By the way, this is also available for dimensions, unit of measure, and variance. Then we also have now the possibility with Copilot to suggest number series. I'm actually really happy about this one because this is a contribution from one of our MVPs. So if you watch out there, thank you. So we have the possibility for anybody to actually contribute through GitHub. And this was a contribution that utilizes Copilot to help generate these number series. And if you start, for example, on a blank screen here, a blank number series, there's quite a lot to fill out for all documents and so on, but Copilot will help a user to automatically set those up. Of course, you can in the prompt specify certain names for it, certain, should it start at this number or not. You could prepare also number series when you start it next year. So a lot of great time saving in setting up this now. And then in terms of, we talk often about feature improvement. This is not a feature, this is a whole capability area, subscription billing. It's quite interesting. I mean, we both do customers out there, but also partners listening in, and you often either sell something on subscription, at least partners, they sell Microsoft software on subscription plans. But until now, we didn't have really a rich capability for that in the product. But that's now available where you can set up service contracts, you can set up the billing periods, and of course, it will also take care of revenue recognition, which is important when somebody, for example, has a subscription that goes into the next fiscal year. All that is taken care of. So go explore that if you are having a need for subscription billing in your company or as a partner to send out bills. And when we talk about improvements overall, for the last couple of releases, or actually quite many releases, we've had a focus on making sure we deliver rich analytic and reports. We just saw Analysis View really helping users with ad hoc. But of course, you as customers and partners out there also presenting Business Central often want to show something that is expected. And it is expected that when you open Business Central, that you can see the generic, like, income, what's my turnover, what's my my profit, and so on. And all that is now in 70 plus Power BI reports with this release. So it goes with all the areas here on the slide, but also we are exploring, of course, adding it to areas like manufacturing going forward and other areas in Business Central. So a much, much greater experience when you walk up to Business Central for the first time, or if you're an existing user, want to see more reporting capabilities. Talking about reporting, financial reporting in Business Central is something that a lot of users are using, because often there is a specific need to set it up specifically to the company. We supply, and have supplied 12 more financial reports in this release, but also made sure there's many more row and column definitions that the customer, the user, can pick down from the shelf, and you can build your own financial reports that you need. So again, a lot more out of box in this area for this release. Sustainability, and if we look now, I'm here in the EU, I know there's also a lot of things being mandated in Australia, around the world, and in many regions, Belgium, so on, which is also in the EU, by the way, but that's so what I'm going to say here is sustainability tracking is something we hear from all our customers, having a demand for, saying, you know, you are asking for this because you need, in many cases, depending on the size of the company, to actually submit these numbers to the government. And therefore, we built a rich sustainability tracking module inside Business Central with Rose Center, with scorecards, with goals, recording greenhouse gases, both carbon credits and so on. So go explore that if that's one of the areas you need to deliver on. Project and service, that's a area that we have invested in throughout the last release, basically listening to all the needs from you. You're pointing to other areas in the product where we need it, to learn from those and actually build it in to projects and service management, whether it was extended text, archiving, and so on. It is all there now, so also go watch that session if you're interested in that. Shopify is such a high demand out there, and that also means we get a lot of feedback on, you know, improvements we can do to it, or if Shopify adds new features, we will improve the integration. We see partners coming back and saying, actually, just that the sales cycles on this is some of the shortest they ever explored, because there's 2.5 million Shopify shops active today out in the market, and a lot of those have a need for a great integration that is fast to set up, and that's what we can do with Business Central, and it's getting better and better. So go explore if you're looking into the e-commerce opportunity. Frontline workers, there's 2 billion of those out there, and the way to address those is through the integration to Microsoft Dynamics 365 Field Service. We started in the last release with something around projects. Now it's integrated with Service Order, giving you a really rich, full, complete, you know, both back office but also front office capabilities to businesses doing service in the market. So again, if you either a customer, you know, want to do even more in that area, go explore that, or as a partner, go explore that opportunity. Power Platform, as you all know, we've invested over many releases in this. First, Power BI. One thing is shipping all these rich Power BI reports. We actually, in this release, making it much easier to work with them, embedded inside Business Central, so you don't, in many cases, need to leave Business Central at all, but can just use all these rich reports directly inside the product. And of course, we continue to uptake and improve the whole experience with using Power Automate inside Business Central for building flows and workflows for any business process there. And the last one, I want to say that job queue notification via Power Automate flows. It's actually something I know that's not in any slides, but we have actually made it possible now to get the job queue notification when something is maybe, you know, there's a challenge there. It will show on the role centers in this release, but also it's possible to build a flow that sends a notification to the right users in the company. This is something many, of course, in non-English speaking ask for, the access keys that we added. Many people, many users out there use the keyboard to be productive. Here we have French. Now access keys are available in all the languages on this slide. In this release, we are also improving search. It's in preview right now this month. It will come out in next month, but that's basically the possibility to select between the modern or legacy search. The difference here is the modern would look full text search in those columns that we, our partners, have marked for that, whereas legacy search will search throughout everything inside a Business Central. And using legacy search is, of course, a little more slow, where the modern search is fast. It has the full text search, not just the whole string there, character matching. So this is actually delivering what a user would expect when searching for something. And of course, also the possibility to use the AND operator in there. Just much faster and better experience in the product. Resize column, you would think, haven't we been able to do that in Business Central sometime? Yes, we were, but that required you go into personalization, and whatever device you jumped on, it will remember that. That's great, but sometimes you just want to resize in the moment and resize on the screen you're on. You could do that now without going into personalization mode. Another great feature we get a lot of feedback on. Word reporting. Document reports in Business Central, they are rich when you use Word. But of course, we've also got the feedback that some conditional formatting is needed, not show this field when this is not. That's now possible. There's also the possibility to change between Word layouts. So another investment we are doing and delivering on now to make a much more richer Word laid out experience with Business Central. I mentioned before that there was a contribution from GitHub to the product. There's actually 156 community contributions in this release. So thank you again to everybody out there that has contributed through GitHub, where we then have the product managers review, engineers review, working with you to make the product just much better. That's such a great thing that we as a community can build a better product. It's in many areas. It's in connectors. It's in the horizontal capabilities, it's in the business features, it's also extensibility, events and so on, bug fixes, paper cuts that we just need to clean out, and of course AI and Copilot features. So with that, I'm actually going to have Dimitri back on stage and tell us about all the other things we've done in this release as well. Thank you. Dimitri.
Thank you very much, Yannick. Amazing set of capabilities. I'm pretty sure there's many of you waiting for this already out there, and the release is available. So why are you waiting? You should go ahead and try many of these features as well. Of course, I'm going to talk a lot about the world-class service, and this release is not an exception. We did build a lot of capabilities in the service to make it much more secure, reliable, performant, and always available to the customers. So the lion's share of the investments is lying there by us analyzing telemetry and making sure that the service is always available, always secure, and always running. But for some of you administrators out there administering customer environments, we did want to address some of the biggest asks in the industry. For example, with this capability, the one which is called Flexible Update Management, I'm pretty sure many of you like the sound of that. Whatever we make flexible is great for the customers. Now, I wanted to mention that this capability is coming out in preview. And what is it? This is ability for the administrators to postpone the updates for a longer period of time. So basically, the window of scheduling the update is becoming a little bit longer. And how much longer, you might ask, is actually quite a bit longer for those of you who really need this capability. So you can see that it goes from 60 days to 5 months. This is how long you can keep working on the solution, keep finding the right moment in time to apply the update. I wanted to make it crystal clear to all of you watching the video and, well, the live translation actually in this case. We still encourage many of you and all of you to keep the latest, to make sure that your solutions are easily updatable to the next version. We are making a lot of efforts to keep them compatible and easy to update. However, we also understand that each business is different, and there are terms and conditions where you do want to find that perfect time to update your environment. And now you got a lot more flexibility in this process to schedule, to find the right moment of time to do the update. So I'm hoping that many of you are fairly happy with this new change, but I'm also hoping that many of you will never use it and will go along with our update cadence and stay current on the very latest versions of Business Central. Another capability which I wanted to bring up here is related to assigning partners to specific environments. We see many customers out there using multiple environments in Business Central, which is a very, very convenient feature. And sometimes, especially when this collaboration goes across countries, let's say there is an environment in Germany and there is an environment in France, these customers sometimes work with different partners. And of course, the requirement is how can we limit access to for this particular partner to this particular environment. And that is now available in the Tenant Admin Center with a click of a button. Essentially, you can assign the partner of record, the delegated admin, to a specific environment, and they will only have access to that specific environment, which is great news in terms of protecting your environments and keeping the control, access control to what is really, really needed. Also, for those of you who would like to get much more control and much more insight into what admins are doing in Business Central environments, we're now introducing a capability to log all of the administrative requests and all of the administrative actions performed in the Admin Center and in the application into Microsoft 365 Purview log. This is the all-up Microsoft solution for auditing admin operations, and now Business Central is part of that happy family. So much easier to audit different admin operations across the stack, across the Microsoft portfolio. Now, moving into the amazing world of DevOps. I'm pretty sure many of you are working with apps out there. So you work with per-tenant extensions, you work with ISV solutions. And the solution from Microsoft, which helps you and your partners and your ISVs to manage this solution, is AL Go for GitHub. And AL Go for GitHub just became better with this release. It keeps being refreshed with every iteration, and this release is not exception. For instance, we applied a lot of security hardening to the DevOps solution. So now many of you using the AL Go for GitHub get and inherit these security improvements to run your pipeline securely and operate in this environment much more protected and secure way. We also added a fantastic capability for you to easily test your solutions for compatibility with all of the ISV apps which you depend on. So now out of the box, if your ISVs decided to plug into this system and share their symbols with you, you can any day, any time of the day, test whether your solution is compatible with the current and future version of your ISV app, which is an amazing capability, so you can always be in control and always stay ahead of the changes applied by whether it's Microsoft or whether it's your ISV solution, which is a great improvement as well. One other thing which I wanted to cover here is performance. I'm pretty sure that many of you would like to build performance solutions. We definitely strongly encourage you to do so. And AL Go for GitHub will help you in this journey. What is possible with AL Go for GitHub is to set up the environment where you can create the baseline for all of your performance tests. So you basically run a set of tests to measure the current performance of your solution, of your application, and then use it as a baseline for all of the future checks and changes in your application, whether it's per-tenant extension or ISV. So you can see exactly how much impact on performance your changes introduce in the system. So here, for example, on the screen, you see some of the warnings, some of the messages, the things get better performance-wise or worse. And you can easily track that with AL Go for GitHub and make decisions whether to update the baseline or whether to go ahead and improve the code. Definitely something to check out. In the space of AL and AL language, our application language, and the development environment, which is Visual Studio Code, there's just so many changes that I had a hard time fitting them on the same slide. So I listed some of them, some of the fantastic capabilities, such as interface improvements. I'm pretty sure many of you building extensible solutions use interfaces a lot. We now have support for save as JSON on the query object, which I'm pretty sure many of you will use. Some of the capabilities to modify and update settings for page extensions, allowing inserts, modifies, deletes. So all of these capabilities will just make your development life easier. And there's many more in the box, so please watch this session and discover what's available for all of you AL developers out there. Now, one interesting capability, which is kind of development, but it's intended for the consultants out there and the power users out there. This is not a new investment. This is something we started in the previous release as well. And we wanted to make it much easier for you to navigate from the beautiful, fantastic AI as well, and UI of Business Central, user experience in Business Central, to the code behind this page. So that should be easy. Sometimes the code is the best instructions and the best documentation for what is in the Business Central. Not always, but sometimes. Also, you may want to use it for troubleshooting. If a very specific scenario is acting in a strange way, you can now easily, with a click of a button, set up the debugger and then go through this flow and then figure out what the problem is. What we updated in this release is ability for this flow, open in Visual Studio Code, to interact with your GitHub repository. So now you can make sure that whatever you're looking at, whatever code you're looking at, whatever version you're looking at, is the latest version and is the right version, which is saved safely and soundly in your GitHub repository. This adds a lot of reliability to all of you inspecting the code behind these beautiful Business Central pages. Again, it's very easy to activate, so take a look at it and to give it a try. A couple of releases ago, we realized that Microsoft is not the only one which is excited about AI. All of you partners jumped in and wanted to build solutions using the Copilot in Business Central. And for that, we introduced the AI Toolkit. So AI Toolkit is a tool for you to design, for partners and for ISVs, to design AI-infused scenarios in Business Central. And it comes with a lot of samples, it comes with a lot of code and the beautiful prompt dialogue with a lot of capabilities built into it. So you can basically just focus on designing the business logic, and everything there is to do with talking to AI and working with prompts, that is facilitated with this development tool. So in this release, we extended the capabilities of the developer tool for Copilot in Business Central with several more very cool capabilities. For example, so now the Copilot actions are available on many more pages. So you can go ahead and infuse them into other elements of Business Central. The prompt dialog can now surface the messages and arrow messages from your code directly into the UI of the prompt dialog, so that there's no annoying pop-ups for the user experience. It's surfaced in a very nice and user-friendly way, and the customers can read the text and react accordingly, change their prompt, or do something to avoid having this error. One particular interesting capability is emitting telemetry for all of the AI usage to the ISVs and partners out there who can understand how the customers are using the AI in their solutions. Now, one absolutely critical thing to mention here, that there's absolutely no customer data emitted with this telemetry. So it is a pure metadata, pure knowledge about which actions were enabled and how many runs were performed. So there's no customer data available with this telemetry. However, all of those AI builders can understand how the customers interact with the AI features, which is a very amazing opportunity out there. There's a full session dedicated to improvements to function calling AI. And this is too deep to cover in this interaction, so I'm just going to skip over, and I'm sure many of you interested in that will go and watch the recording. Now, one interesting thing which we bring into the toolkit for Copilot in Business Central is ability to test. Now, AI is an interesting technology, so it's no longer if-then-else code. It's something that evolves with the different prompts. It provides slightly different results. And you as a developer, you want to get ahead of it and understand how to test these capabilities. Testing AI is an interesting case. And what you typically want to do, you want to make sure that you have the right data, you have the right test suite, which covers your AI scenario and provides some outcomes. And then you can test these outcomes, whether they are expected outcomes or not. You can use this tool in combination with Azure AI Studio to get even more value of testing your AI features. Azure AI Studio is fantastic in testing scenarios such as harm testing or testing for malicious intent. So you can also make sure that your code and your prompts are ready for to dismiss all of these unwanted inputs into your solution. So please take a look at the preview, which we published at aka.ms BC Apps, and definitely watch the session to learn much more about how to run the test toolkit for AI. Now, and here's the example of things that you would need to test in the past. So in the current situation, you have a Copilot extension and you have a few procedures for testing, but you needed much more to be able to test AI. You needed your own test suites and your own data sets. So for that, we built the testing tool for you, for all of you Copilot builders. I wanted to just briefly touch upon the managed AI resources. We did announce it in the previous release, which means that instead of, for all of your solutions, for all of your ISV solutions using AI, instead of bringing your own Azure AI subscription, you can run against Microsoft managed AI resources and not having to care about managing this at a higher scale. So this provides you with out-of-the-box ability to just use AI resources from Microsoft and focus on the business logic and focus on building the business value. Now, we're going to update you much more in this area, but one thing which we wanted to bring up here is that we are gradually coming to the place where we would like to expand this private preview into the public preview. So there will definitely be further announcements on this topic, and you will get to learn how to get into the public preview where all of you can try building solutions in that way. Now, back onto the topic of performance, this is an interesting one. Now, it has become so increasingly difficult to find performance bottlenecks in Business Central that we started going into the scenarios like the one that you see on your screen. For example, you may have found yourself in the situations where a certain place in the application is starting to behave slowly, but only in certain circumstances. So not all the time, but sometimes. And I'm sure all of you already learned that if you want to kind of take a look at performance and what is taking time, we have this beautiful tool called In-Client Performance Profiler, which you can start from the client and measure your scenario and then see exactly where the time is spent, in which extension, in which code the time is spent in this particular scenario. But what we add in with this release is ability to schedule these profiles to run in the background. So what you can set up as a user wishing to understand what is causing kind of the performance challenges in one or the other part of the application, you can set up to run in the background, and then in the end of the hour, the end of the day, the end of the week, you can expect these scheduled profiles, find exactly the ones which caught the moment in time where the code was not acting as it should have, and go and troubleshoot that profile. So much more convenient for all of you to troubleshoot performance cases. And it is easily available from help and support page. So click of a button and you can schedule the profile to run in your environment. Now, talking about performance improvements, I wanted to mention 3 areas here. Yannick already mentioned the new, modern, fantastic search. It is indeed much faster. We did hear so many asks from you in the past that people working with a large amount of data, I know that many of you are working with hundreds of thousands of items in your inventory, and search was not performing in those circumstances. So this new and improved modern search is working much faster as a data search solution, as a solution to search for items on the list page, in drill downs and lookups. So the search has become much faster with this version of the Business Central. We also to optimize the job queue flow. Now, in the past, it was not certain that the first job queue which was scheduled is going to be the one that will run first. And we made it so that in this release, it is the case. So the first job that comes in, that is the job that is going to be processed the moment that the service has resources to process it. And that also enabled the opportunity to inject the priority into job queue category. So for instance, some jobs may have higher priority compared to others. So now you can use job queues categories to assign this priority to your jobs, and they will get executed sooner than the jobs in other categories, which is an amazing improvement for all of you working with job queues. And finally, we refactored the process of posting into warehouse ledger entry, which is an amazing story. I do encourage you to go and watch this video. It's a whole new pattern which was invented for that purpose, which kind of decreases locking in this scenario by a large extent. So the posting into warehouse ledger entries is now much more concurrent, and therefore you can get much more throughput in this scenario. So we're not stopping in this space. We'll continue promoting this pattern and use this pattern in other scenarios in the application as well. Now, you may remember one of the tools which we announced in the previous release called page scripting. Great tool, fantastic tool for all of you wishing to create your own tests without having to write code. So what you can do with this tool, you can simply go to the user interface of Business Central, capture the user flow using the actions and record it, and then replay again and again and again to see whether the scenario still works after some changes. So we did apply some changes, some user experience changes to this tool, but one of the bigger improvements here is that we also made it available for all of you administrators and DevOps people to run it in pipelines. So now these tests which you record in the user experience can also run in pipelines, and you can run them recurrently. You can schedule recurrent run of these tests, just like you schedule the tests of any other type of test automation. So definitely something to inspect as well and look forward to. So this was a great overview from Yannick, and hopefully some of the great features from me as well of 2024 release wave 2. And I just wanted to say, please join the Q&As with our amazing team of product managers and developers working on this product hands-on with the first-hand knowledge of all of these processes. Come to these sessions about Copilot, Power Platform, user experiences, application, localizations, local features and reporting, as well as development, administration, service and platform, and talk to the experts behind all of these features that we've just presented. Now, I know that many of you are not necessarily in the Central European time zone, so don't get confused, don't get discouraged. If you go to aka.ms BC launch event and you sign up for a Q&A session, then it will conveniently create a calendar appointment for you in your time zone. And then you're absolutely certain you will meet the experts in this time window.
Yes, and of course, if you are not joining the Q&A sessions, but just want to watch the recordings, they are available now on YouTube. So again, you know, the shortcut akms/BC YouTube, and this is a list of all of the sessions. And remember the change, as Lotte and Maya said in the beginning, is we really, you know, reduced the length of these to focus on the core of what are really the improvements there. So we hope that this time around, if you're interested in any of these, that you get to complete all of them, or at least those within the area that you are interested in. So with that, thank you very much for for this, this release, so to say, and thank you to the teams also. I know they are upstairs watching in. I also know that a lot of both partners and customers out there have a lot of, events and so on. So thank you for spending the time with us and watching this new release.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.